Yeah, I'm Jim Poyser. I live in Indiana, and I work for a nonprofit called Earth Charter Indiana. My previous profession was in journalism, and then I moved into climate education at the intersection of science and civics to get young people into positions of convincing adults to do the right thing about the environment and protect it instead of spending it on profit and whatnot. And a couple years ago, I lucked into starting a journalism program with a couple of high school students, and now it's grown to have directors in 11 states. We're getting content from all over the country and even starting to get content from the United Kingdom.
Why do you think it's important to have young people's voices in like advocating for climate change?
Yeah, I believe that young people are the only ones anybody's listening to, other than the forces of power and money, right? If you have the ability to change your practices or your business or whatever to be more friendly with the earth, you're probably not going to be convinced by your shareholders, right? They want to maximize their profit, but they may be persuaded by the voice of young people, because young people are who are inheriting this mess that we've made, from microplastic pollution to deforestation to climate change. We have so many problems, and the good news is we have solutions for all of them. We just have to get busy.
Mm-hmm. What prompted you to like start this organization? Like how did you guys meet and come up with
Yeah.
the idea?
So I do sustainability walkthroughs in schools just to give suggestions to reduce waste and energy. And I went to a school in the Indianapolis area where I live 5 years ago. And the student reporter followed along with the tour and did a story on it. And because I had previously been a journalist for about 25 years, it was like a perfect fit to do that. So I worked with that reporter, Elizabeth, and another writer at a different high school in Indianapolis named Angel. And the three of us just put this thing together on our own as a program of youth of Earth Charter Indiana. And then it's just grown. In fact, in the past year, it's grown from one state to 11, and it just keeps growing kind of on its own momentum at this point.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's wonderful. What do you find? What thing brings you the most joy about this work?
Well, I love working with young people because they're so smart and funny, and they haven't given up, you know? And it gives me the inspiration to not give up either. The prognosis for our future has a lot of challenges, right? But I always tell kids that it doesn't look good, but I'm not going to give up, and neither should you.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell me a bit about your previous journalistic career?
Sure. I was so lucky I was managing editor of a alternative news weekly for many years in Indianapolis and in Bloomington, Indiana. You know, those are the papers that you used to see everywhere and you'd pick up. There'd be arts, culture, and hard-hitting investigative news. I started as a theater reviewer because I was a playwright back in those days, and still am. And so I started out just kind of just trying to pick up a little freelance money here and there. But then it turned into editorial positions. I ended up running a literary magazine, and then a statewide magazine in Indiana that was dedicated to environmental issues. But guess what? It still wasn't enough. I wanted to spend every single instant of my time working on climate and environmental issues, because in Indiana, that is not top of mind with our leadership.
Mm-hmm. We might go back to the environmental part again, but like, like what you said about like the first papers you worked for being like alternative papers, arts, culture, and stuff. That fascinated me because like I'm really trying to explore the possibility of kind of like asserting a slightly divergent voice with journalism that's like kind of like providing a more like reflective space apart from the mainstream stuff. You know, um, yeah. What? Hmm. Okay, that's a question I can ask.
That was good because you got me thinking.
Yeah. Like what? Mm, like just how did you feel when you were like working for the papers? Why do you think it's important to have them? Um,
Well, there's a couple things that I want to say about that. First of all, part of my job was to select the cover story every week. And then I would go on the photo shoots. And I don't have a lot of photography experience or whatever, but I would go kind of to just have creative ideas about it. And what I loved about working for these newspapers is that everywhere you went in the city, you'd see that person on the cover. So we were putting out 50, 60, 70,000 copies in a medium-sized city every single week. And that image and that story would be all over the city. And there was something really exciting about that because the task was to find the unsung heroes, right? To find the people that nobody else was covering, especially with an emphasis on young people and with a real eye toward diversity as well. So I was very proud of that work. And now that that paper has disappeared, as so many have, what's missing is now is this sense of a shared community, right? To some extent, it's kind of an illusion, maybe based on assumptions, but there's also a very real component, which is you have 60,000 copies with a musician's face on it all over the city for 1 week, and then replaced by another story.
okay, I guess last question. How could people reach your organization? You know, and how what can we do to like join the effort of like promoting environmental journalism?
Yeah, well, we lucked into the last four-letter domain name left on planet Earth. So it is yept.org.
yept.org.
And you can go there and you can read a couple hundred stories from high school students, but also from middle school students and some college students who've been in the program. There is a form that says submit a story idea or submit a story that you've already written. And those forms go to me and my team are high school directors. And we look at the stories and we talk about whether they're like fit our mission and if there's any improvements to be made. In fact, quite often a story will come in and I will assign two high school editors to work on it, and they team up on the editing process to get the story in the best shape possible. So, if you go to yept.org, you can see what we're up to, and if you're excited about it, and also if you see something missing. What's so wonderful about this conference is a number of people were wondering why there weren't multimedia content pieces on the site, and I said that's because no one has submitted any. So we are able to pay students for their content as well as serving in leadership positions. And if you want to find out more, just find Jim on yept.org.
Okay, thank you so much.